So I like the red tails. It has significance, especially in DC where it's a military city, things of that nature. So yeah, I like that name as well. The problem is the Senators is a name that's already been used. So uh, Matthew, I just asked a question.
I just asked a question.
Oh
That's
my
all.
God.
Everybody says I'm grumpy. I just asked a
Hey,
question.
ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna tell you what it is. I'm gonna tell you what this is. Jerry is in his feelings from last Sunday. I can tell you right now.
No,
He
I'm
is
not.
in his
I just
feelings
asked a
from
question.
Sunday.
I just asked a question.
Okay.
I just asked a question.
Okay. All right. But you know what, Jerry? I gave you more than 5 total minutes to talk.
You're right, and I appreciate that.
Yep.
Okay.
And I might revert back to what you did. I
No,
might, but I'm not. I'm not going to do that.
No
I
problem,
don't
man.
have that type of negative energy. But let's get to this team because I was talking about the Commanders first to lead into them in the breakdown. Now,
I feel
here's the thing. Keep talking. Keep mumbling. I can hear you. Is that Tourette syndrome or something you got?
Look,
So,
I promise on my show, I will not talk for the amount of time I talked last week, and leave you hanging. Okay, that was a fatal flaw, and I'll admit it. Okay, I have no problem admitting a flaw, and I did talk for an extended amount of time, giving you limited time to talk, and that's not what a good host should do.
I agree. 5 minutes for a whole hour. That was like, we almost had Shannon Sharp, Stephen A moment. But, I ain't worried about that. That was in the past. Jerry's going to hold on to it since he brought it over to Saturday show. But again, we're talking about the Commanders. Now, here's the deal. Last year, Washington was 8-1. So about a 495 percentage, right? They need to improve to at least 10 wins this year. It's going to be difficult to do with their schedule. I'll be honest with you. But something was said, and I'm going to bring this up, and I want your opinion real quick, JT. It's a rebuild type of year. Not for the team, the organization. Expectations should not be to get more than 5 to 7 wins. This is what I heard from prognosticator. It's not that the team doesn't have talent. It has a new offensive coordinator. All the other coaches are pretty much the same. The players are the same. You just have a new signal caller. And the current ownership, it's their first time owning an NFL franchise. Here's the thing, though. They didn't draft the team. They had no parts in picking players, paying the upfront salaries, or any of that.
Including coaches.
So, they can fire the coach at any point, though. They can fire Jason, who's also the president of the business operations. They can do that. But they had nothing to do with what is on the table right now. So the expectation, again, from the individuals that we're talking about this is, do not expect Washington to get more than 5 to 7 wins this year. If you do, you're going to start off a new organization leadership in the doghouse. The grace period that these individuals were saying, 2 to 3 years. 2 to 3 years. And something I learned about the Cleveland Browns ownership. the Hazlitt's, they own the Flying J gas station / convenience store chain. The rumor was they drafted Jimmy Manziel because Hazlitt,
Johnny Manziel.
yeah, Johnny Manziel, I'm sorry. Johnny Manziel off of the advice of a homeless person at one of the, the pilots that he was owning. They said he's probably one of the worst owners in the NFL. I'm like, I don't know, but whatever. But the expectation for him was he had a very good defense, a decent offense, but he couldn't get things to work with Baker. So he changes the coach. Cleveland has a very good team, but they're in a very hard organization. Man, a very hard division. So I bring that up to say, Mr. Harris, Magic, they have got to make the proper steps starting next year. Will they have a quick trigger finger like the Waltons did in Denver? Listen, Hackett was not the right coach, but they hired him. They did not inherit him. I do want to know from you, JT, before we go down the schedule stuff, what are your expectations, or what do you think the expectations of ownership should be?
Expectations of the ownership, well, all of them should expect.
Well, the new ownership, I should say.
New ownership, realistically, or
yes,
let me put it this way: they expected some progress from last year. I think realistically, they want to be able to see if the coaching staff goes with the second-year player and Sam Howell at the quarterback, that there's some positive that can be said at the end of the year with the second-year quarterback. They brought in an offensive coordinator from a Super Bowl winning team. They expect that offensive coordinator to coach up the second-year quarterback and hopefully look promising for the future. If they take a step back, meaning I'm not talking about record-wise, but if they take a step back in the ability on the field, then they're going to be questioning the head coach and quite possibly the offensive philosophy. Let me put it that way. That's the best I can assess about if I was a new ownership. I want to see some progress on the field. That doesn't necessarily mean wins, but I want to see positive results on the field.
So positive results on the field would be wins. What other positive results?
Not necessarily.
What other positive results are you looking
for? If you have your quarterback headed in the right direction, but they don't equate to wins, that, in my opinion, they're headed in the right direction. You just need to refine the pieces around the quarterback. But if you have a quarterback that looks like he's a franchise quarterback, even though the team may not get wins, then I would call that a positive. I would go with that. If the coaching staff or the offensive coordinator, not necessarily head coach, is having the quarterback in a positive direction, the foundation, in my opinion, is the quarterback. If you have a quarterback, then you have a reason to be optimistic about your team. If you don't have a quarterback, or the quarterback is playing below what you think he should play, then the team, in my opinion, is either stagnant or taking a step back. And then you got to assess whether it's the coaching staff or the player, the quarterback. Quarterbacks, if you don't have a quarterback in any of these teams, if you don't have a quarterback, you can't have a chance to win. Okay? But the quarterback needs other pieces. If you don't have the other pieces, but you have a quarterback, then you got to build around that quarterback to get the pieces. But if an ownership can see that the quarterback is playing well, but he doesn't have the necessary pieces for the team to play well and to win, then he's got to assess that. He's got to look for something positive, even though it doesn't equate to wins.
No, I got it. But that's why I prefaced it by saying the team is very much like it was last year. Only big difference is the QB. Literally, that's the only major difference in players is the QB. But let's go down the schedule. Now, Washington opens up at home versus Arizona, who I believe we both feel is going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. I got a W.
I got a W too.
Then they travel to Denver. Week 2. If this was later on in the season, I would say, Denver would clean their clock. But it's week 2. And I'm going to give it to Denver, but not by much. But if it was later in the season, Denver would wash me.
I agree with you. I think Denver wins this game.
Then Buffalo comes to town. I really wish this was in, regardless. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I got to see what Buffalo's defense looks like. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to call the upset. I'm going to call the upset.
Come on.
I'm giving it to Washington.
Really?
You know what I said?
You're gonna say Washington's gonna beat Buffalo at home. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes. Week 3.
I disagree.
Okay. All right. Not like it's first time. But then Washington heads to Philly. Philadelphia is a juggernaut. They are a juggernaut. It's going to be tougher this year, but I got Philly winning that game. They're going to take on Chicago at home. I take it you agree since you didn't say anything.
You like Chicago? You like Chicago to lose this game?
I do have Chicago lose this game, but I'm asking you, did you agree or disagree with the Philly game?
I agree. Philly's a better team, so I agree. They're playing
the Thursday night Chicago game. I think Washington prevails in that because they're going. To me, it's going to be off and on all year for them. Off and on. I think you said you agree that Chicago.
I agree. Washington wins the game.
Okay. They go to Atlanta. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I think Atlanta's a way better team than Washington on paper. Execution-wise, we got to see. 2 second-year quarterbacks. I think Desmond Ridder has the better set of tools. I think his defense, although it's new, has a lot of veterans that know how to win and work with each other. So I got to give this to Atlanta. It's in Atlanta as well.
I agree. I think Atlanta wins that game.
All right, then they travel week 7 to the Giants. This is going to be a tough road to hoe. Saquon looks like he's going to sit out for the whole year. The Giants went and signed like Melvin Gordon and somebody else. Not a good sign for the Giants. When I saw all those signings happen yesterday, I changed my outlook on the Giants. I literally changed my outlook. Washington wins this game in New York. If Saquon was there, if Saquon is playing or was going to be there, I would definitely give this to the Giants.
I disagree. I think either way, Giants win this game. Okay.
All right. Philly comes to D.C. week 8. Always a tough game between the two. I can't give Philly the sweep, man. I want to give them the sweep, but for whatever reason, something's telling me they're going to split with Washington and the Cowboys. So I'm going to split it. I give Washington the win.
I agree with that. At New England.
Yep, at New England. I don't think the Patriots are that good. People are saying don't sleep on them, don't sleep on them. Well, I'm about to take a nap. And I think Washington beats New England in New England. I'm not confident in their passing game. I know they have a strong run game. I know they're good defensively. I think Washington just has more weaponry on offense that's going to make it sort of Matt Jones, you got to beat him in the air. And I don't think you can. But I got to give that to Washington.
Okay. This is my issue with this. I think this is going to be a closer game because the fact is, young quarterback, and it really want to make a difference, in my opinion, because Bill Belichick knows Jacoby Brissett and always game plans against young quarterbacks. And if it's Sam Howell, I think it's going to be a defensive game. New England's defense is definitely good. It's a very good defense. It's kept them in a lot of games. But I think Washington wins this game because New England is going to be piss poor in offense.
All right, I plan to be at this next game at Seattle. Listen, it's November 12th. It's a 1:30 p.m. start here. 4:25, the late game. That's Sunday. Look, if Njigba is right and they throw the ball effectively and efficiently, I should say efficiently, I think the Seahawks win the game. However, I don't think Gino's going to have that good of a year. Washington's defense is designed to stop the run. Their quarterbacks are the problem. If they can put a little bit of heat on Gino, which that front four should be able to do, the question is, can they stop Kenneth Walker? Can they stop Kenneth Walker? Because they bring that extra safety down and put him in the box. Can they stop him? I don't know. I'm going to be sad that day, but I'm picking Seattle to win the game.
Giants at home.
They're sweeping the Giants.
Okay.
Then we go at the Cowboys for Thanksgiving. I believe it is.
At Dallas.
Yes, the Cowboys. Thanksgiving. Thursday night. Here's the problem. I think the Cowboys are going to be really, really tough this year. Really, really tough. You know why? Because next year they're going to have a lot of problems. Are they going to pay CeeDee Lamb? Are they going to pay Michael Parsons? Are they going to pay Diggs? And right now, Martin, their star guard, wants to be paid. So this year, Cowboys going to be tough because everybody wants to get paid next year. They can't pay everybody. It's Thanksgiving. I don't see a miracle happening. The Cowboys win this game.
Home against Miami.
Listen, it's going to be a rough patch, y'all. It's going to be a rough patch. I think Miami is a better team. I understand December 3rd, my wife's birthday, so I won't be watching that game. I'm going to try though. Miami's just a better team. I think Miami's coached better. I think they have better talent. If Tua is healthy, Miami wins. Then they got
Bye week 14, and then after that is the LA Rams.
Yep, I got you. At LA Rams, I think Watson's better than the Rams. They win that game. But then they go to the Jets.
At the Jets.
Home for the 49ers. And home for the Cowboys. What I'm about to tell you right now, ladies and gentlemen, is Watson's going to lose 2 of these 3. They're losing to the Jets. They're losing to the 49ers. And because the Cowboys have locked up a playoff spot, they've already got the wild card spot. Zingfield's going to get it. They beat the Cowboys last game of the season. It's not going to be as important as people think. It's not going to get flexed. I think I got them around 7 and 9. Not 7 and 9. 7 and 10.
You got them 9 and 8.
9 and 8. Okay. 9 and 8.
I have them
which
at
is
5.
an improvement from last year.
I have them at 5 and 12.
Of course you do.
It got nothing to do. Man, it got nothing to do with. It's your team. It's just the fact is, I think they're going to get more losses than you give them credit for. But that's all right.
Yep. All right. We just talked about Saquon Barkley. We just talked about how the Giants went out and signed Melvin Gordon and another running back. Listen to what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen. That's not a good sign for Saquon. Now, these guys might be there just for the camp. They might be. They might be. What is it? Judon Red Sleeves. I don't know why he wants him to be called the Washington Judon Red Sleeves. I have no idea.
Wow. Wow.
But anyway.
Wow.
The Giants. If Saquon is not in there, Danny Dollars turns back into dimes. So I'm just going to keep it real. I'm going to keep it 1,000% real. Daniel Jones needs Saquon Barkley. The Giants need Saquon Barkley. The problem is they're not going to pay him.
Just understand this, Mr. FSP. The salary cap the franchise tag at one point was at $13 million for running backs. The franchise tag for running backs at one point was $13 million. Now it's 10 point whatever. It went down $3 million and change since the last time a guy's been franchise tag. They got devalued that much more, $3 million more. Yeah. Are you serious?
Yeah.
We talked about this before, man. Ad nauseum, we talked about this, how disrespected running backs are getting or have been. You got the leading rusher and you got a top-tier running back that's looking for a contract, and they get franchise tag at a lower rate than it was before. Let me put it that way. At $13 million at one point, 13 and change, if I'm not mistaken. Now you're talking about getting more than $3 million less and expecting these guys to take that and to play hard as they were playing hard before they got franchise tag. That's not happening. That has and that has nothing to do with ownership. It has to do It has to do with getting paid. The ownership decides, okay, we pay this guy. It does have to do with ownership. And you think that players, including Magic Johnson, who's part of ownership now, and I'm bringing it back to
Here we go.
You think that if they get a named player, whether it's a running back or a wide receiver, that the coaching staff, the general manager, or whoever in the ownership decides we're not paying this guy, and he gets franchise tag at a lower rate than was previously for that same position, you think that's going to be a popular thing? No.
What's that got to do with recruiting?
Well, let me put it this way. Let me put it this way.
I ain't saying nothing about recruiting.
This has got to do with recruiting. Look at Austin Eckler, and that organization is shortchanging them because that organization is like that. They are very frugal, and you got a running back like Austin Eckler balling out, expecting to get paid, and no, it's not happening. Knowing from upper management that he's not going to be with that team because they are not going to pay him. Okay?
Because they're trying to pay the quarterback. Okay. So
the quarterback is questionable. Quarterback is questionable.
I will say in response to that is, what does that got to do with the Giants? Because Saquon, the reason why I say that is because we're not talking about management, recruiting, or retaining right now. We're talking about Saquon not being there and how the schedule plays out because he's not there.
If you have an organization that is not willing to pay their best players, and one of the best players is a running back, you think players are going to want to come to that organization?
I mean, you can look at Washington under Dan Snyder. Snyder was paying people crazy amounts of money. They didn't care about no damn coaching. They wanted to get paid, so they came.
This is a new.
So it's the turn of both coins.
This is a new.
Either they pay or they don't pay. It's the same thing.
But it's a new ownership. You don't know how the new ownership is going to be.
No, what I'm saying is you're talking about an organization not paying a player and people not wanting to come. And I said, under Dan Snyder, people didn't care if we were going to win or not. They knew Dan Snyder was going to pay, so they came. So it's the same thing.
And I keep saying the same thing. It's a new ownership. It's a new. There's new people in town. There's new ownership. You think that's not going to change?
I got that. New ownership. I don't know where their pockets are, but the analogy you used, I just turned it around because it's the exact same thing of what happened with Washington to begin with. But we're not talking about Washington. You just wanted to go back to Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't get it out. Can you please just stick to the Giants now?
Okay.
All right.
Go right ahead.
So, with that being the case, the Giants open up the season at home with the Cowboys. The Cowboys are going to run roughshod. They win this game.
I like the Giants.
Okay. Week two. It's Arizona. Arizona is in good. Gotta go. I think the Giants have the better defense and have more offensively. So give it to the Giants. What you got?
Let's go to San Francisco because I agree Giants win this game.
All right. At San Francisco, Giants are not in the same league, even though they are. I give it to San Francisco.
I agree. They lose.
I think they're going to go on a 4-game losing streak. They're going to lose to Seattle. Then they're going to lose to Miami.
I agree.
And they're going to lose to Buffalo.
That's okay. I agree.
And then they're going to come to D.C. And I believe I said Washington sweeps them. So they're going to lose week 7. They're going to lose the week 8 to the Jets.
No, I disagree. I think they're going to win against Washington. I think they're going to lose to the Jets.
Okay. But that's still a lot of losses in a row. Maybe Saquon comes in after this. I don't know. Week 9, they go to Vegas. Hopefully Vegas has their stuff together, and Vegas win that game.
They win that game or lose that game?
I said Vegas wins that game.
Okay. Oh, so you haven't gone on
I got on a long losing streak. I got
games?
losing to the Cowboys in Dallas.
Wow.
But then week 11, the bleeding stops. Either Saquon's back or they're like, well, we got to find some way to win.
Okay.
And they beat Washington in Washington. They also beat New England at home. Finally, the bye week in week 13. Do you agree or disagree with those things I said thus far?
I think they beat Washington at week 11 and beat New England at week 12. Then we go to the bye.
Yep. Come back week 14. They beat Green Bay.
I agree.
It's going to be a tough game week 15 with New Orleans. I think New Orleans is scrapping for a playoff spot. So I think New Orleans gets that win. I think Philly sweeps them. So Philly takes them in week 16. Week 17, they go out to LA. No, excuse me, LA comes to New York. And it's last game of the year physically on December 31st. New York's needing something. They beat the Rams. Then,
Okay.
last game of the season, they lose to Philly.
Okay. Wow.
5-12 or something.
You have the Giants 5-12. I have them at 7-10.
Ain't that big of a difference. It's not. I mean, looking at their schedule, without Saquon, I got to make sure everybody understands that. Without Saquon, it's a tough road to hoe. There's a reason why that guy was number 1 overall. There's a reason why that guy was a linchpin to that organization when they were going on their run last year. Danny Dimes was running the ball, yes, but it's because people were afraid of the read option. They're not going to be afraid of read option with Melvin Gordon and the cast of characters back there. Not to mention, the only real receiving threat is at tight end, Darren Waller. I don't think my young receiver Hyatt's going to be that big of an impact. Darius Slayton needs to stay healthy, but he's their number 1 receiver. I have no idea what happened to Sterling Shepard, but he would legit be the number 1 if he stay healthy. It's not much. If you look at it, ladies and gentlemen, the defense is all the Giants have outside of Saquon. All right, moving on. How about Jerry's Cowboys? He loves them. I can't stand them. But this is not about personal feelings. I've already said, I think the Cowboys are going to be a hard team this year. Dak Prescott, let me ask you your thoughts on this, JT. Dak Prescott came out and said he's not going to throw more than 10 interceptions this year. Last year he threw 15, and he only played 12 games.
Okay.
Your thoughts on that?
Okay. Dak, you're not going to throw more than 10 interceptions? A few of those 10, probably close to half of those 10, are going to be at key situations. They're going to cause you to lose games. That's all I'm saying, okay? Talk is cheap. You got to put it on the field and see what happens.
Okay. I love the addition of Brandon Cooks, but that wide receiver room is busting wide open. Problem is Tony Pollard is your main guy. Tony Pollard did not sign his franchise tag. But I got a feeling Tony Pollard is going to sign that franchise tag. Why? He's never made $10 million. He was an unrestricted free agent. He's going to sign that. But is his ankle better? I like Deuce Vaughn. I really like Deuce Vaughn. He's a K-State running back, short guy, power guy that can catch as well. So I'm telling you guys, look out for Deuce Vaughn to get some time. If Pollard is out for whatever reason, I think Deuce Vaughn can see and take that job. But Lamb, Gallup, and Cook, oh my. Let's flip it over to the defense. Michael Parsons, Diggs, freaking, what's my man named? Lawrence, defensive end, and a few other players. There are a few other players on that defense, Leighton Vander Esch, that make them a scary team. The problem is this, and JT has said it, and I've said it as well. When Mike McCarthy asked him to run the ball, he says, Mike McCarthy, he let old boy go because all he wanted to do is run the score up and score a lot of points. You're not naming the game? But I get what he meant by it. The defense didn't have a lot of time to rest, so he wants to run the ball. Do you actually think, JT, Mike McCarthy is going to call a balanced offense, or do you think he's going to revert back to what he normally does?
If Mike McCarthy is the play caller, what did I say a few years ago when Mike McCarthy took over? And I said that Mike McCarthy is not a friend to the running back. He's not a friend. He likes to throw the football. And if you don't succeed in throwing the football, that means more playing time for the defense. Wear the defense down. Because you don't give the defense to rest by running the football. I mean, you don't give the defense a rest by throwing the football. Mike McCarthy is not a fan of running backs, and that was evident. That's why they went to Kellen Moore to call plays, to put the running back more in play for the Dallas Cowboys. Now they got rid of Kellen Moore. Now they're taking a step back, in my opinion, with Mike McCarthy calling the offensive plays again. Not a good sign. I don't care what kind of talent they have, but if you're constantly throwing the football and the defense is on the field more, you're more likely to lose, in my opinion. If you don't have a balanced offense, you're more likely to struggle, to depend more on your defense to win your games.
I agree. Let's get into it. Dallas Cowboys open up the season Sunday night in New York. We don't have to talk about that game because I already gave you my pick. Got out of it, baby. Now we're at the point where we need to talk about like certain games that have already been discussed. The NFC East games, pretty much. Because we talk about what the Cowboys are going to do and so on and so forth. So we're going to go to week 2. This is an interesting week 2. Interesting week 2. Now, I got to remember this next week when we talk about the AFC East. But, listen, I know the expectation in New York is for the Jets to go to the Super Bowl. They got a murderer's row to go through once they make the playoffs. So I don't know if that's really going to happen. But week 2 is going to be a taste of what that playoffs is going to be. The Jets are going to Dallas. If this was in New York, I'd probably think a little differently. But I got to get it to the Cowboys. The Cowboys come out in a close game, but high-scoring game, and beat the Jets.
I agree with that. At Arizona, week
They're
3.
going to mollywop Arizona. They're going to mollywop the Patriots. So now I go to the 49ers. Week 5. Here's the thing. Dallas is traveling to San Francisco. It's not too hard to tell. Week 5, Purdy, or whoever the quarterback is, on paper, the 49ers and the Cowboys are even. But when they play, for whatever reason, the 49ers stand out and win these games. This is going to be an interesting game because Christian McCaffrey is going to be covered by who when he comes out the backfield? That's a matchup. Because you take Michael Parsons out of rushing the quarterback, you're taking away one of your best assets. Now, athlete to athlete, he could probably cover Christian McCaffrey. But again, if you're going to take away the offensive best weapon and the defensive best weapon, who's going to cover Kittle? Debo. Don't forget, Elijah Mitchell still can run the ball. Brandon Ayuk isn't that bad, but he ain't that good either. So think about that. I got to get to the 49ers. What you got?
At LA Chargers. Stay
You
on the
agree
West
with it
Coast.
or you disagree?
I agree with you.
All right.
Stay
Monday
on the
night with
West
the
Coast.
Chargers. So they come off a Sunday night. Let me make sure that was a Sunday night game before Sunday night game. Going to the Monday night. Back on the West Coast. So to me, the best thing for the Cowboys to do is to stay out west. But if they go back to Dallas and then fly back out to the Chargers, it's going to be an upset. It's going to be an upset. Week 6, Monday night, I'm going to give it to the Chargers in an upset.
You think they beat the Chargers?
I said the Chargers beat them.
Okay, that's what I okay. Then week 7 is bye.
Okay. Week 8, home for the Rams. Rams are going to give enough good fights, but they're not going to win this game. Their Rams are down on that. What you got?
I think Dallas beats the Rams.
Okay.
On to Philly.
All right, now listen. Instead of the Cowboys grabbing, Nakobe Dean or somebody else, they get somebody that they feel is going to plug up the middle and stop the quarterback sneak. Well, we're going to find out when they go to play Philly. In Philly. I'm telling you, tough game. Tough. But I'm going to have Philly winning this game because it's in Philly.
I agree. Next, another division rival, New York Giants.
I already said what's going to happen in that game, so there's no need to talk about it. At the Panthers, again, we'll win the Panthers. We already talked about what's going to happen with Washington. Seattle.
What do you think they win Washington?
I said we already discussed this game. Remember, I said they're going to split with Washington.
Okay.
But this is the first game, and I said they beat Washington in Dallas.
Okay.
Remember?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So, but then they got Seattle, and I think Seattle is going to be fighting for a playoff spot. I think one of these two I think both of them will get. Well, no, I don't think Seattle's going to make the playoffs, but they're going to be fighting to get to the playoffs. So I've got Dallas beating them, but not convincing them. I don't think they beat them convincing. I think they beat them, but not convincing.
I got Seattle winning that game.
Okay. Week 14, Philly comes to Dallas. I think that's the equalizer where Philly has to come to Dallas, and it's a win for the Cowboys.
Okay.
At Buffalo.
I've got tickets to this game. I have tickets to the Cowboys-Bills game. Just letting y'all know. I got tickets to another Bills game. I'll talk about that when we go to the East next week. But I got tickets to this game. Just putting it out there. Listen. I think Buffalo's going to regress this year. I think they are. The window's not closing, but they need to sign a running back or a wide receiver that's actually really going to complement Diggs. They really need to sign somebody. I don't think they are. I got the Cowboys winning.
Oh, you like the Cowboys? I like Buffalo in Buffalo.
But then the Cowboys go down to Miami. I really like Miami this year. Week 16. I really like Miami this year. Miami beats the Cowboys because the Cowboys are going to Miami. I don't care that it's December. I don't care that it's Christmas Eve. I just think the Dolphins are better than the Cowboys. The next game is going to be a hot game, bro. Hot game. Because, as I already said, they're going to lose to Washington the last game of the season. But Detroit, I think this is the game that's going to get the Cowboys in the playoffs.
You think they beat Detroit?
I think they beat Detroit because it's at home. Detroit's going to have the NFC North already locked up by week 17. They got it already locked up. So I'm not saying they're benching people. I'm not saying that. I'm saying Dallas has more to play for in this game. And since Dallas has more to play for in this game, they win it. They get their playoff spot, and it doesn't matter that they lose to Washington in the last game. All right, what do I have? I think I have the Cowboys at what, 11-6 or something?
You've got the Cowboys 11-6. I have them 9-8.
Okay, that's close to what Washington. I think the Cowboys are going to be pretty tough out this year. Pretty tough out this year. Will they make the playoffs? Yes. Depending on who they play in that week 1. For instance.
Hold on, I'll be right back.
Okay. I believe that Detroit Cowboy game just might be a preview of a playoff game. Played back in Detroit. That's what I think. You know what? Because I think Detroit's going to have a better record, I honestly think, I'm not kidding. I am not kidding when I say this. I think Detroit just might be the number 3 seed. I think Detroit is going to be the number 3 seed out of the NFC East. Out of the NFC. Because we're finished up the NFC now with once we do Philly. But I think it's going to be 49ers, Philly, and Detroit and Atlanta. Those are your division winners. And I think Detroit's going to be the 3rd seed. So I think they're going to face the Cowboys or they're going to face New Orleans in the playoffs, one or the other. But let's go on to the last team in the East. Since we've gone over all their opponents in the East, there's no need to call out those games because we already got them called out. We're just going to call out the non-division games. Obviously, if I said Philly's going to have the number 2 seed, and I think I gave the 49ers like 13-4 or 12-5, I think Philly, who went 14-3 last year, they're not going to get back to 14 wins. I don't think they're going to get back to 14 wins. But I do think they're going to have a pretty damn good year, especially opening up the season at New England. I think New England is going to have a problem, and Philly is going to be that problem. I got them, Philadelphia Eagles winning that game easily.
Same here. Keep going.
Minnesota. Oh, I've been waiting to talk to you about this, JT. Wait. I guess Addison is a very fast receiver. So fast that he was doing 140 and a 55.
Okay.
And reminds me of a receiver that the Raiders had who tragically killed somebody. Just imagine this kid killed somebody. Sad. Addison does not equal, in my opinion, a counted number 2 in Minnesota.
Okay.
Neither does Matt Asiata or Matt, what's his daggone name? Matson, I'm sorry. Matson. Minnesota's going to struggle. They better sign Zeke or they better sign Dalvin back. If they don't, it's going to be a problem. I've got Philly beating them hands down. JT?
I like Philly in this game. Minnesota's defense is suspect at best, but I think it's going to be a fantasy gold mine.
Okay. Well, Minnesota's also changing from a 4-3 to a 3-4. So the first year in a new system, and you don't have the outside rushers, it's going to be tough on that offense. I mean, it's tough on that defense. Very, very tough on that defense. Just put it out there.
Like at Tampa Bay.
Yep, at Tampa Bay. Listen, Baker, I love you, Baker, but you're going to get beat up. You get beat up, baby. Really going to win that game. We've already talked about Washington.
Can I say something about this game?
Go right ahead, JT.
There is no guarantee, even though I do believe that he's going to be the starting quarterback, but there is no guarantee that Baker is going to be the starting quarterback.
That's a true statement.
So,
and
that says to Baker, you got to compete against Kyle Trask to get the starting. What does that say? I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know. They don't have too much faith in if you got to compete with a backup quarterback that hasn't shown anything in reality. Then Baker, this is close to bottom. Close to bottom.
I feel you. As I said, week 4, I discussed that. We're going down to week 5 at the Rams. The Rams are going to be in a world of hurt. They're rebuilding. That's bottom line. They're rebuilding, and Philly has that game.
You say Philly wins that game? Rams?
Yeah.
At the Jets.
Tough game.
Oh,
Tough game.
Oh,
Here's the thing. This is going to be one of the games where the passing game has got to come into play. I think Jalen's going to have to throw the ball more in this game because the Jets can stop the run. They were a top 6 defense last year. Sauce Gardner ain't no joke. That's going to be a good match between him and AJ. But on the other side, Smith, I don't know. I got to give it to the Jets. I think they beat Philly.
Sauce Gardner last season didn't allow a touchdown to anybody. Didn't allow a touchdown. That as a rookie. And he carried that over from college. That he was shutting down people in college. And more than likely, most of the time, he was playing the number 1 receiver in the NFL. And none of them scored a touchdown on him. I mean, he possibly could be one of the big superstars in the defensive back position. He does it again this year. His stock is going to soar.
It will. With that being said, who you picking?
I'm right with you, man. So far I'm with you.
So Philly goes to Miami in October. Listen, I don't think they're gonna be hydrated enough. Miami beats them.
Miami beats Philly. Is that what you said?
Yes, I did.
I disagree. I like Philly in this game.
Okay, but when you talk about week 8 or week 9, week 10 is a bye week. Week 11 is a rematch of the Super Bowl. And this time, Philly wins. You have thoughts?
At Kansas City, I can't give it to them. They playing in Kansas City. Ain't happening.
Okay. All right, Buffalo Bills. Listen. As I said, I think Buffalo's going to regress. You're going to find out where I think they're going to finish this year when we do the AFC East and close it out next week. But Philly's going to beat them.
Philly's going what?
Philly's going to beat Buffalo.
Philly's going to beat Buffalo? Really?
Yep.
Let me say this. Okay. They come off the bye and they played the Super Bowl opponent, the Kansas City Chiefs, in Kansas City, which is going to be a tough game. And they come back to play another tough team. I don't think so. They can get up for Kansas City because they're just coming off a bye. But playing Buffalo at home after a tough game against Kansas City, I can't believe that. I got to believe they're going to have a letdown and they lose to Buffalo. Because what's coming next is another tough game.
Well, I got them beating San Francisco.
You think they're going to win against San Francisco?
I do.
Okay, I agree with that. But they've had, just check these next 4 games. Wait a minute, just listen to me. Just check these 4 games. After the bye, they have Kansas City, home against Buffalo, home against San Francisco, and I agree with you. They win San Francisco, but then they go against a division rival on the road at Dallas.
But again, we're not talking about divisions because we already gave the wins and losses for the divisions. So I ain't worried about that.
Okay, they lose to that. And after that, they go
I
on the road to
say
Seattle.
Hold on. Where Dallas at? I already told you they're going to split with Dallas.
Okay.
Right?
So, next game after Dallas, it's at Seattle.
Yes, at Seattle. I think they're better than Seattle, but it's going to be in Seattle. And around that time, it's a lot of rain. That's going to be one of them grinded out games. I got Philly winning that game.
Okay, I like them winning against Seattle. Then they go play the Giants at
We
home.
already did those. They're going to beat the Cardinals, and they end the season with the Giants. So I think I got them 11 and 6, 12 and 5, if I'm not mistaken.
I have them 12 and 5. You have them at 11 and 6.
Okay. Because I gave San Fran 12 and 5. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, that will complete the NFC East. We've got one more division. One more division. And if you're paying attention to some of these picks, my surprise team that's not going to make the playoffs is in the AFC East. You've been paying attention. That team ain't gonna make it to the playoffs. You'll find out next week if you haven't been paying attention.
Okay.
But JT, as I said, I've got Philly, Atlanta, Detroit, and San Fran winning their divisions. What do you think?
You have Philly, San Francisco, Detroit, and
Atlanta
winning the division. I have questions about Atlanta winning the division because don't discount the New Orleans Saints. And I have questions about the Detroit Lions, to tell you the truth, because I think a couple of teams can surprise in that division, meaning Minnesota and Green Bay. I said when we did the NFC North that I think Jordan Love is going to surprise. And I also said that even though that Minnesota's defense may be a suspect, they do have a strong, thriving offense along with Detroit. And that can be a deciding factor. So
Okay.
those two divisions, I see a dogfight. A dogfight.
Okay. I see Minnesota sneaking in there. I could. Hopefully they don't, but I could. I can see. I got a bet on them, so I want them to get it. But I think Detroit's the better team, and I don't think Minnesota deserves to go to the playoffs. But anyway, that being said, ladies and gentlemen, under an hour and 40 minutes for the entire show, with 35 minutes of discussion. I am a bad man, ain't I? Aren't you? I'll give you a compliment. All right, you don't even want to take the compliment. But with that being said, next week, AFC East, final division, and you know what, ladies and gentlemen? Final weekend without a football game. At least professional. What happens first week of August, JT?
Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
I said, what's happening in first week of August?
What's happening? What?
Bro, I set you up so perfectly. I said next week is the final week without any professional football. Then I asked, what happens in the first week of August?
First week of August would be the Thursday. First Thursday would be the of August would be the Hall of Fame game, the Jets versus Cleveland Browns, and then we have preseason games starting off after that, and we'll see. It's important because the fact is, who's who's going to get hurt? There's always somebody going to get hurt.
Yep.
How fantasy relevant is it going to be?
Yep.
Who's going to step up if a key player has a season ending or a multi-week injury? A lot to digest in the up and coming weeks, and hopefully in our league we get the one single player, a member, paying that money so we can find out what the hell is going on.
Not yet. They have up till August 10th.
I understand that. I said hopefully. Didn't you hear me? You didn't listen. I said hopefully we get that one single player to play the money. Pay the man. Pay the man.
Yes.
Pay the man.
Now, I'm going to put it out there for everybody.
And the fact, wait a minute, let me just say this.
Go ahead.
Somebody in our league chat said, I don't consider it football season yet. Football season yet. Well, guess what? Training camp has started. It's football season. Hello. Well, now what's your excuse? I'm looking right at the camera. Now what's your excuse?
I'm going to tell you what he's going to say. It's not real games yet.
You know what? Don't put thoughts in his head. You just put a thought in your head.
Listen,
Come on.
I know.
Wait a minute.
I'm 47. I've known this man since I was 13.
Football. Yeah, it's
that
football.
Is 34 years.
But he made the remark, not that it ain't real games. It's not football season. So let me ask you this, Mr. FSP, since you've known him since 13, you think it's football season when training camp starts?
Listen, it's football season when the draft happens.
Well, there's a big gap in between when training camp starts and preseason game starts.
But for me, because you're asking me what I think once you begin the whole mindset of we're going to draft players, we're going to cut players, we're going to trade players. When the football season calendar opens, we don't see a lot of things, but we do see the draft. We see the combine.
Okay.
All right, well, really, I would say football season for me begins at the draft. The combine is that, ooh, here's what's coming. The draft is, oh, that's what they're trying to do. Training camp is, like you said, who's going to get injured, who's going to get cut, blah, 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 blah. That's all football season to me.
Well, to me, after the draft, okay, there's a big gap in there. You got OTAs and option whatever, and mandatory OTAs, and then there's a back gap. They give a chance for players to do what they want to do from end of May, around June, to training camp, which starts right now, middle of July, late part of July, until real games start the beginning of August. That's, to me, when the training camp starts, that's football season, because they're gearing up, they're playing against each other, gearing up, Hall of Fame game, preseason games, real games. Football season for me starts preseason. Someone on the chat says, I don't think anything serious until football season starts. Well, guess what, mother?
What do you mean?
Mother? Guess what? It's football season. Capital letters. It's football season. Pay up.
Okay. Now, you know what, Jerry? I'm going to clap for that. You know why I'm going to clap for that? Because you went direct. You didn't say his name, though, but you went direct because it's two people that you can direct that to. But the person that said that or made that comment,
it's football season, man.
So
excuses are
if
out.
you haven't noticed, and I know you have this in no comment, if you look at the scrolling bottom bar, it shows who's in each division this year.
Yeah, I know.
The problem is either Ricky or Van will not be in that division.
Let me tell you something. Almost every text, ooh baby, is watching. Almost every
I
text,
know.
ooh baby, checks it out. So he's seen it. He just don't want to respond. I'm responding to it. Pay up, chump. Pay up. I'm not shy. I told you, there's no hold bars this season. No hold bars. I'm coming. Never humble, always talking.
Oh, let me see. Are you in the same division as Ricky? No, you are in. Nope. No, you're not.
Pay up. Damn it, Jesus. The power of one. I keep on saying the power of one, man, because that's what's happened. The power of one.
True
Come
statement.
on. Come
True
on.
statement. I'm not saying you're wrong.
Hold up the whole progress of the league. Come on, man.
Dude,
Come on.
I was hoping. Well, we still got like 9 days to have the entire league paid for before August. First time I've ever been in any league. Been in any league where that has happened.
I hear you, man. It makes no sense. No sense. All you need is 100 pennies. 100 pennies.
Makes $1.
Times what? 10?
Times
20?
100.
Times 100? Come on, man. I could, from the time that you wrote that set and how much it is and the date, you added the pennies together, you could have had the money to pay. Before the August 10th. Come on. Yeah, the old man is grumpy. Damn right I'm grumpy. One person out of 2 holding up the damn league. Come on. Wake the freak up, brother. Give it a break. Give it a break.
Well,
gotta show your blackness, man. Come on.
we ain't gotta go there, Jerry.
I just went there, man. Come on.
We ain't gotta go there.
It makes no sense. I'm running no filter, man. I'm running no filter.
Okay, you gonna bring back the No Chaser show? This time without the first host. Since you want to go on a rant, you might as well rant about him too.
Man,
but don't, because
you don't want me. You don't want me to go there.
So as I was gonna say before Jerry went off on a rant, there is one spot available. There are 2 previous owners that have yet to pay. I filled the spot already because a new owner paid. Cash is king when it comes to fantasy football. So what that meant was one of my best friends, who's been in the league for some time, won't be back this year. Now, the deadline of August 10th is for one of the 2 to make the payment. If the funds are not in by 12:01 Eastern Standard Time, that's only 9:01 p.m. my time, on the 10th, I will accept the first person to pay. I have one more open spot to invite an owner. I will take a person, and from there,
all right. Did
just fall within that. Jerry,
put on the chat.
You're breaking up.
August 1st, put on the chat. You got it? Okay. August 1st, put on the chat. Hey, you got 10 days to pay. Whoever runs this race first wins. Plain and simple. Whoever runs this race wins. Straight cash. Straight cash, homie. Straight cash. Come on.
All right, angry man, grumpy. Oh no, this might be your new symbol. It might be your symbol. Old man is
straight
grumpy.
cash. Come on, man. You got one team holding up the whole rest of the league. Come on. Really?
He's being Daniel Snyder. He's Dan Snyder.
Yeah, he's being blackish. I'll put it that way.
I
way.
heard you don't need to repeat it. No need to repeat it.
They have made a show out of it. Blackish. Okay. Come on, man.
You just don't care. All right. Anyway, with that being said, thank y'all for listening. We'll be here next week with the AFC East and JT. This is week 3 in August. So is this going to be your mock draft or something else tomorrow?
Well, this is the 3rd week in July. And I haven't usually done this until sometime in August, but I'm going to do it now. On my For No Reason Fantasy Football Show, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm going to be do's and don'ts. Fantasy football draft. Do's and don'ts. Fantasy football draft. Because I know some people like to draft early. I'm not naming any names, but some people like to draft early.
I do.
So
I know what the hell
that's it is what it is. So I'm gonna put it out there. We're getting close, people. We got a month and a week, if I'm not mistaken. A month and a week before we start playing for real. If I'm not mistaken, give or take a day or two. It's getting down to crunch time. I'm going to give you do's and don'ts, Mr. FSP. I know you have a few of your own. You can always throw them in there. I'll make sure you have a chance to talk. I'll make sure you have a chance to talk. Look, hey, okay. I'll make sure you have a chance to talk. Do's and don'ts, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on For No Reason Fantasy Football.
Okay. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank y'all for tuning in. And hope you got something. We appreciate you. And with that, we're going to see you next week. We out.
Fantasy, sports, and politics. Get ready to rumble! You want to talk smack? You in the right place. So take a step back before I get all up in your
remember, because I don't remember. I remember every bit of this.
You're the dudes holding on the phone line. Your voice will be heard, sir.
Next caller, please.
Jerry's going to get him.
Fantasy, sports, and politics. Fantasy, sports, and politics. Fantasy, sports, and politics. Fantasy, sports, and politics.
Listeners are asking questions about